Here, the hope is that you have got about 10 or 20 quotes, also assess different capabilities of the suppliers. And then what you can do is to then ideally look for at least 3 suppliers that you can place an order for the sample. So you can do that. There are a few options for you to do it. For on the specific website, on the page, there will be a place for you to place for the sample price. So here, obviously, samples are going to be more expensive because this is the first initial engagement of the partnership and just one single item. But there are cases where you will get some of the additional discounts or options if the supplier might offer a free sample as part of the package. Typically, I would say though the free sample is more common in ready-to-ship options. However, one thing that we have seen some buyers do is once you have a custom item, you place an order for a sample. And if you decided to go with that supplier, you can work with the supplier to say, hey, once you place the final order, can they deduct the sample cost from your sample from your final order? So that's a common way that we have seen from some of our buyers. And then on the other hand, maybe you're still exploring what are the samples or options on the market. So on the manufacturer tab, this is an option from your phone. There are some areas where you can explore what are the different samples that are on the market, and then maybe they're offering for a discount. So these are the few things that you can consider when you are going into it. A few things I also want to call out here. So the first thing is, what's the purpose of a sample? And I think there are 2 common types of objectives. One of them is more relevant to us, the other less. So the first one is what we would call a production sample. So the purpose of that sample process is to make the supplier produce an example physical object to get shipped to you so you can assess the production quality, right? Does it feel good? Does it do the job? Does it have the features that you're looking for? Another thing that we have seen less common in private label, more in like drop shipping or just ready to ship products, is what we would call a trial order or test order. So let's say you found an object or a product, but you're not super sure if it's gonna sell. So sometimes you can negotiate a smaller MOQ trial sale or trial order with the supplier to say, hey, I'm gonna just check it out and see how quickly I can sell them, what's the interest in the market. That's also a different option, but that's typically only for ready-to-ship products. But you can consider doing that if you have a customized product, to do a production sample and then negotiate a trial sample before you place a much bigger order for larger scale order. And then the other thing I also want to highlight in the inspection process is that sometimes the quality of a sample might not fully represent the quality once things get into manufacture. Because sometimes maybe with a sample, you don't have to make a brand new mold yet, right? So these are the things that you also want to pay attention to or learn from the industry about, okay, what are the additional things that you might want to pay attention to or think about when you're assessing the sample, and maybe understand, okay, what could go wrong from developing one single sample product versus manufacturing thousands of products through the assemble line. So that's one thing you also want to caution. And the very last thing that we have also seen some buyers do is to buy some competitor products from the market. You have done the competitor research on DataDive or maybe on ChatGPT, right? So especially if you are positioning yourself as an improvement, so once you get the samples from your suppliers, also have a sample by hand from the existing options in the market, so you can have a truly more of an apple-to-apple comparison of, is your new product improving or better than the competitors one, to help you further build that level of confidence. All right, so that's about sampling and finalization. So again, in this process, as I mentioned earlier, your goal ultimately is to work with one supplier, but hopefully from your sample order, you want to make your decision on one final primary suppliers, but also have a backup option for you as a secondary supplier in case something else kind of would go wrong, etc. So that would be something to consider.